Hi, my name is Tequila Mockingbird, and you are watching Tequila TV. This is episode 20 of TTV. Today, we are talking with LA artist Anthony Ausgang, a good friend of mine. He has a work of his art showing in the fabulous and fun exhibit at the Petersen Automotive Museum. The exhibit is called AUTO-DIDACTIVE, the JUXTAPOZ School. There are 50 artists and it runs from September of 2018 to June of 2019 in the Armand Hammer Foundation Gallery. The artists include a loosely defined group known as lowbrow artists. Their work often addressed popular themes considered unacceptable in fine art circles, such as hot rods, comic books, psychedelic posters, surfing, skateboarding, and B-movie monsters. Anthony Ausgang gave TTV a tour of the exhibit, explaining the various artists and their work. Later, he treated us to lunch at the Drago, the restaurant in the Petersen Automotive Museum. Not only is he a great artist and well versed in art, but he is quite debonair. Stay tuned to Tequila TV. Hi, we're watching Tequila TV, and today we have an extra special show because we're at the Petersen Museum with artist Anthony Ausgang. Hi, Anthony.
Hey, Tequila.
Hi.
Good to see you here.
You too. So tell us about this show. It's fantastic.
Well, this show is put on by JUXTAPOZ magazine, and it's in honor of the hot rod roots and custom culture attitude of the original JUXTAPOZ magazine. This show includes some of the greatest hot rod artists going right now. Artists like Robert Williams, Coop, Shag, Ron English, you name it, they're in the show. And, of course, myself.
So tell me, how long have you been doing art?
I've been doing art since I moved to Los Angeles in 1980.
Whoa!
Weren't you a member of the 00 Club?
Sure was. And then I graduated to the 01 Club.
Good times, definitely. The
Good
LA
times.
Underground. That's the beginning of car culture and the beginning of lowbrow art. Tell us about lowbrow art.
Yeah!
Well, the 01 was a gallery in Hollywood, and it was run by a crazy guy named John Pochner, and it was basically an after-hours club that turned into an art gallery. Since they had such a lackadaisical attitude like that, I got a show there. That was the beginning of my art career. John Pochner, who ran the place, was good friends with Robert Williams, some of the other custom culture artists. So he put on a lot of shows that involved artists who did this kind of work.
Could you tell us a little bit about this piece and what it means to you?
Well, this piece was chosen for the show because it's based on a very common theme of art in the 18th and 19th centuries. This is actually Salome. It's the myth of John the Baptist and Salome. She demanded the head of John the Baptist on a platter, and she got it. So I changed the whole thing into Salome's cute little cat right here, and here's the head of John the Baptist. So
Tell me about your love for animals.
I love, as I've gotten older, I've become more in awe of anything that's alive, even if it's a pill bug. Roaches I'm still not sure about, but for the most part I really feel like anything that's alive deserves respect. I personally have seen the human figure used in art ever since cave paintings. Well, not personally, since cave paintings, but the human figure has been used in art for so long that I decided to start using cats instead. And that explains this little character right here.
why don't you give us a tour of the gallery?
Okay, let's do it. Well, first of all, let's start with the real cars. This is by Kenny Scharf, who was in the East Village scene in New York in the late 70s and early 80s. This is a really great kitschy thing. It's got everything you want on it right there.
My grandfather used to drive a caddy in the house.
Do you know what year this is?
This is a 57, I believe. That was the year that the fins got the biggest. They started getting smaller after that. In fact, I think the last few cars in the early 60s, they have what we call rudimentary fins. Not much at all.
This one has music.
Yeah, this is a real popular thing. Kenny's always been a real promoter of kitsch in the extreme. This is a painting by Sandow Burke. This one depicts what can commonly be considered an epical moment in the history of Los Angeles and automobiles. This is the white Ford Bronco that O.J. was chased in, and this is almost like my painting. There's a certain association with the classic art. So, you know, the stance of the characters, the whole presentation is very much like historical art that you would see. These are done by Jeremy Fish, who's I believe one of the San Francisco contingent of hot rod artists. As you can imagine, most of the automobile artists in California are coming from Los Angeles, this being a car town.
Who curated this?
This is curated by Joseph Harper, who's also one of the directors of the museum here. But it was also, there was a lot of input put in from Robert Williams, Craig Stesick, and there's a lot of people at the JUXTAPOZ magazine.
All right, here's one of my favorite Anthony Ausgang car doors, and it is the King. Tell us about the King.
Well, I felt like, you know, I've been painting hot rods for so long that eventually, I mean, it seemed like the most logical thing to do would actually start painting on either cars or car parts. So I had a friend who worked at a junkyard and they specialized in cars before 1968, and he would save doors for me. So I got this door and I really liked it, and I just kind of wanted to mess around with it like it came off an entire automobile. And this one belonged to who else but the King?
That is Elvis.
Could be Elvis. This is by Eric White. He's an extremely talented painter. He's kind of known for his scenes of banality. You know, there's no real action going on in this painting at all. But the way he paints it and his composition really makes it interesting. Kevin Ansell is another artist who tends to sort of riff off the classic art compositions and ideas and so forth. So you can see it looks very much like an old master painting that you would see in a museum in Europe with the cherubs up top and the old men. It's set up to be modern art that's brought across in a traditional way. So this is by Von Dutch. Now Von Dutch is one of the original artists in the custom culture scene. He kind of was one of the people who invented painting hot rod flames on automobiles, and he was known for being for customizing automobiles. But unfortunately, he was also known as being a real racist, homophobe a-hole. And as a result, when this piece was included in the show, there was a lot of outrage that artwork that had been made by a bigot was included in the show. Which brings up a very interesting question. You know, is it the art or is it the life of the artist who made it that's important? And I really think that if the art is paramount, and if the artist who made it is not a particularly nice person, that doesn't mean that
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it should matter.
So yeah, the LA Times wrote a long article about how.
I think people are getting a little too political about everything.
Me too.
It's only said by a couple of Republicans.
That's the problem. It's just a couple people who are like dictating.
I'm a dictator. I like dicks and I like taters.
You're so sophisticated.
Yeah.
You're perfect here.
Yeah.
She's covered in lowbrow.
That would be lowbrow art. These pieces?
This is a painting by Von Dutch, who did the truck, as well as this. He was one of the beatnik. He was kind of a bridge between beatniks and hippies.
That was the culture back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's people don't take into consideration the times, you know, and the culture that
Oh yeah.
was going on back then.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because it's almost like everything has to be judged
By
by the
today's standards, yeah.
So, yeah, this is a painting by Robert Williams. This was originally in the collection of Nicolas Cage, and this painting depicts an epic moment in a particular, I think it was Indy 500, and when there was a wreck that happened, a fatal crash. No two witnesses had the same story. What exactly happened in this automobile disaster is completely up for grabs. Nobody knows exactly what happened. It's a famous automobile disaster.
So custom culture, this is kind of an catchword of this exhibit.
Yeah, custom culture with K. That's right. I was in the original custom culture exhibition that was at the Laguna Beach Art Museum, 1994. That was a really important and epical show because it brought a lot of these sort of disenfranchised artists together to create a movement. And that's the catalog for the show.
In '94?
That's correct.
Cool.
This is a art from.
I know Art Crumb. Remember when he used to hang out with us at Billy's place?
That's
Play
right.
Loose. Remember?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we used to hang out with Art Crumb and all of the guys from Zappa back then.
Yeah, that
Remember?
back then. Yeah, that was great. But this is great because this brings in the San Francisco contingent. Yeah, so we got Crumb, Spain Rodriguez, Rick Griffin, S. Clay Wilson. These are all the guys who stayed in San Francisco.
We knew them.
They came down to LA a bunch.
Used to hang around with them. I kissed him.
Which one? Rick?
Rick, yeah.
You're not supposed to tell,
I only kissed him.
but no kissing and telling.
Let's talk about the art that's on this wall. Let's talk about this piece. And this piece. And this piece.
Keith Wiesner.
Tell us about Keith.
He's one of the most talented, I think, of the hot rod artists. He's got an impeccable illustrative style, really good, and he sort of brings the whole '50s aesthetic into the future. You know, we've got '50s looking spaceship cars and stuff like that. So he firmly brings it into the he's bringing the future into the present, or the present into the future. You figure that one out yourself. This is a famous painter by the name of Chaz Bohorquez. He was one of the original graffiti artists in Los Angeles. He was a member of something called the Los Avenidas, and when they were working in Highland Park. So Chaz is coming from a non-white angle. He was a Hispanic, you know, Aztlan culture, all of that stuff. The lowriders as opposed to the hot rods, a whole different thing. So that's one nice thing about this show. It's inclusive of not only the hot rods and stuff like that, but also the lowriders.
This piece here.
This is by Mark Ryden, who was a big fan of Abraham Lincoln and pretty much puts Lincoln in whatever he can. He took the lowbrow aesthetic and cleaned it up a little bit, and they call it pop surrealism. And here we have the Shepherd Ferry. As you can see, the Obey right there. So that's. Can you say that?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
So tell me about this wonderful car right here.
This is the artist Robert Williams' personal 1932 Ford. And this is a coupe. And it's a beautiful car. And when I first met him, this thing was painted primer red, and it had aces and eights on it. This was a hand, I think. Who was holding it? I think. Anyway, it was called Aces and Eights because that was a famous hand.
The dead man's hand.
Poker hand, yeah, the dead man's hand. I forget at the moment who it was that was holding it.
It was a cowboy.
Yeah, it was a famous cowboy.
And he got shot from behind.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
yeah.
this is like the epical fucking hot rod, 1932 Ford. This is regarded as the epitome of hot rod culture. I personally liked it before it went all the technical. Oh, there it is. There's a picture of it when it was red. And here's Kevin Ansel, who did that painting we saw earlier with the cherubs and angels in it. He likes to take things like tropical motifs and upgrade them. So here we've got a ukulele that's covered in abalone shell. There's a little bit of crossover between surf culture and hot rod culture. You know, I mean, people would originally take their surfboards to the beach and old wagons and stuff like that. So the two subcultures are pretty much intermixed. This is by Damien Fulton. He works for Disney. He's a very talented, really great illustrator and all-around good guy. And here you can see this is kind of bringing the surfboard and the hot rods together. Here's Ron English. He's a very famous street artist who also sort of transitioned into the custom culture and so forth.
What is this?
This is one of the photographers who was in the scene, Esteban Morel, and he made it a point of going out and photographing as many of the different hot rod artists as possible. So it's kind of nice to have people who aren't just painters so much, but they're also documenting and recording the scene, because that's equally important.
And here's our friend Robert Williams, who will also be in this piece.
Yeah, he is in his car that we were just looking at. One important thing is, like, one of the complaints is that this art movement is overwhelmingly white and male, and it's really important that I think they put in Lori Lipton, because she's really talented as an artist, and it's great to have examples of work that's done by women as well.
White women?
And I was wondering if she's 3% Indian.
Oh, okay.
And this is by Suzanne Williams, Robert Williams' wife. And this is a pretty amazing piece when you think this is oil on canvas, and really getting lines and that kind of precision in oil paints can be fairly difficult. So she did a really great job on that painting. Yeah, this is, I believe, a Mr. Cartoon painting, who tends to work with his airbrush mostly on automobiles and metal. Once again, he's a great example of the inclusivity of the show, because here they have, he's a
Lowrider.
A lowrider. And the patron saint of this whole movement is Ed Roth, who kind of started it. When I was a kid growing up in the 60s, and car culture and hot rod culture and car model culture, he'd show up with a new custom designed car every year. And we'll see one of those in a minute. But you cannot emphasize more that Roth was really one of the most important characters in all of this. Well, this is one of Roth's finer custom cars. He's one of the first people to really get into making the bodies completely out of fiberglass. Ed Roth's primal object was the rat thing, which was sort of the evil cousin of Mickey Mouse. You know, this is an animal we're talking about that eats used oil filters for breakfast, right? It's not a sophisticated character. So being the emblem of the custom culture, a lot of the artists decided to do artwork involving Ratfink in the show. So we have the R. Sloan here, and then Ed Roth himself. Different interpretations of Ratfink. I personally had a shoebox full of these when I was a kid. I measured my wealth in terms of how many Ratfinks I had.
Cards?
Yeah.
Gary Panter, one of our favorites.
Gary Panter was a LA boy. He was probably one of what they call one of the first punk rock artists, because he did covers for
Slash or?
Yeah, he did covers for Slash magazine. He did covers for different bands.
He did a lot of cool books.
That's
This is one of our friends, Coop. We used to have him at the Zero Gallery back in the day.
That's right.
Tell us about Coop.
Coop's one of the great hot rod artists. Really good at painting chrome, which is interesting because he's colorblind, but he still manages to do like incredibly beautiful, colorful paintings. Coop got his reputation from doing show posters for different musical bands that would play at different clubs and so forth. But he was also a hot rod guy, and so he started painting hot rods and swells. This is artwork done by the Piz, who's one of the original custom culture artists.
Died recently.
And Kozik too, you know.
Kozik. Is he Japanese?
No. Kozik was a friend. He sort of began the whole rock poster, the contemporary rock poster movement after the guys in San Francisco.
All right. Anthony, tell me all about this piece. I know this artist. It's Shag.
That's Shag, Shagadelic. And it's great because, as we saw earlier, there's the Von Dutch truck, and there's Shag's depiction of Von Dutch. This is by Rick Rietveld. And I really love this one because it's like the asphalt wave. I actually had this idea to do a painting like that, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he did. So that's the thing, once an artist does a painting like that, you can't touch it. That theme is taken. Yeah, this is one of Robert's more recent pieces. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on. It's totally surreal, upside down, sideways. You can hang that painting any way you want, no problem. And in addition to hot rod culture, custom culture, we've got something called the dark arts. And Chet Zar is one of the primal artists of what we call dark art. So he painted a hearse, which is about as custom culture as you can get. Nicola Velato is an astonishingly talented Italian artist who paints in that traditional sense. And so here we have the automobile flipping over and everything flying out of the car. And this last piece is by Todd Shore, possibly Robert Williams' rival in terms of the weird kind of psychotic realism that they have.
I like this piece.
Yeah, it's kind of a grotesque rat fink. Innards. Not a flake.
Pretty gross.
The Petersen Museum is completely dedicated to the glorification of the automobile. So when they do have art shows, and this area right here is where they have the art shows, it's always related to the automobile in one way or another. They had a lowrider show just before this. And they have, I'm not sure what they have coming up next, but the artwork always revolves around automobiles. A lot of students come here from the different schools. I've come by here like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's been packed with school kids. So the Petersen does a really great job of not only showing the artwork, but then having education programs about it and so forth, which I think is really important. Because, you know, when I was a kid, I go to the museums, okay, I don't know what I'm looking at. And it was important, at least my mother would tell me, you know, what's going on. You know, this is Rembrandt. You ever heard of him? He's this and he's that. And that really makes the art viewing experience better. So I'm totally pleased that the Petersen is doing a great job in that respect.
And also bringing in kids so that the next generation will know more about art.
Totally.
So, when did you decide to become an artist? And did you go to school to become an artist?
I decided to become an artist in 1977 when I went to Bali, Indonesia in 1976, and I'd never seen art so seamlessly integrated with daily life. I'd go and see these people, they'd be making carvings. It was incredible how art was regarded as much as eating, sleeping. It was a part of being alive was making art. So when I saw that, I was really encouraged. And I thought, I can do that, I'm into that. So I was really inspired by Balinese art. I came out here, I'd never heard of anything called art schools. I actually had my teacher said, you know, there's something called art schools. And I had no idea. So I came out here and went to the Otis Art Institute.
Otis!
Remember you were talking about student tours?
Yeah, here they are.
The students are here. All right, Anthony, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we hope to see more of your work in the future.
Thanks, Tequila.
You're watching Tequila TV with Anthony Ausgang.